Today, I'm going to discuss with you last topic in limits, and that is about the application of the Squeeze Theorem in finding limits of functions. Okay, and then after this, we will be back to differentiation by formulas. Squeeze Theorem. Mm. There are other names about for this, no? Some books or some authors call this Pins theorem. So, meron namang book calling this sandwich theorem. Yan. Pins theorem. Yan. Pins theorem. Meron namang book ang tawag, we have sandwich theorem, no? Which if you're going to look at the sandwich, how do we spell that? Sandwich. Is this how sandwich is spelled? Sandwich theorem. Am I right, guys? With the spelling. So if you're going to look at the terms, so they have similarities, no? So talking about something that is in between, no, and being pressed by two things, something that is being pressed by two things, no. So something like that. So what is exactly Squeeze theorem? So how is it stated? Okay. So we have Squeeze theorem. How will I want it to be pinned. It's not being pinned. So we have Squeeze theorem or pinned theorem or sandwich theorem. So here it goes, how it is stated. Suppose that the function denoted by f, that the functions, actually three functions, that the functions denoted by f, g, and h are defined on some open interval I, some open interval, let's call it that interval, whatever it is, let's say it is I, and that interval I contains A except positively at itself, except possibly containing A, pero pwede namang yung A hindi kasama, no? Except possibly at A itself. Yan. Kung kasama, it's okay. If not, it's all right. And that these three functions f, g, and h satisfy the inequality f of x less than g of x, and let us less than h of x for all x that you can find in I, for which x is not equal to a. Okay? So, meaning, x is not necessarily equal to a. Also, suppose that the limit of f of x as x approaches a, and the limit of g of x as x approaches a both exist, both exist and are equal, and are equal, let's say they are both equal to L, then the limit of as x approaches a of g of x, by the way, sorry for this one, this is supposed to be h, this one, and this is h. Again, so also suppose that the limit of f of x as x approaches a and limit of h of x as x approaches a both exist and are equal to L, then the limit of g of x, that is the function that is being compressed by f of x and h of x in this inequality, the limit of g of x as x approaches a also exists and is equal to L. And it is equal to L. So it has the same limit with f of x and h of x, no? Equal to L. Okay? So again, suppose that the functions f, g, and h are defined on some open interval I containing a except positively at a itself, and that g of x is in between f of x and h of x exclusive, pero pwede rin naman actually just in between, no? Kaya nga less than or equal to, can be less, can be equal. For x that is, for all x that is in I, for which x not equal to a. Also, suppose that the limit of f of x as x approaches a and the limit of h of x as x approaches a both exist and are equal to L. Then, the limit of g of x can be determined from the two limits that I mentioned, and it is equal to them also, no? So, which is equal to L also. Okay? So, graphically, this is how what it means. So let's say I have this graph. So x is here. This is x equals a. Okay. Now, and I have a point here. Yan. Okay. So then I have a graph of, let's say, graph of f of x. This is the graph of f of x. So the limit means is going to a, no? The limit as it goes to a is somewhere here. So as x approaches a, so the limit is L. Okay? Yeah. And then I have another function. So let's say that is this is the h of x. Okay, so this pink is h of x. This yellow is f of x. So what we are interested with the limit of g of x, and g of x is somewhere here. So this is the g of x. Okay, so that's the g of x. So this function is g of x, that graph. So if the limit of the yellow as x goes to a is L, and the limit of the pink is also L, then the limit of g of x is also L. As long as the requirements in the Squeeze Theorem for f gen h are satisfied. Okay? So, ipit kasi siya, no? Kaya, mapoforce tayo na to take the limit of g of x is equal to L also. At as x approaches a, ha? Not anywhere else. Okay? Yan. So, that's it. So, that is what it means. Is that clear, guys? Let us have a specific example. So, we have example. Let's say, I have this given, let's say, g of x minus 2, take the absolute value of that difference, is less than or equal to 3 x minus 1 raised to 2. No? For all x, that is element of real numbers, meaning for all real numbers x. Okay? Now, find the limit of g of x. What is the limit of g of x as x approaches, let's say, 1? I want the x to approach 1. And what is the limit of g of x? Okay, with this information. Solution. So first, let's write the given inequality. So that is g of x minus 2. Take the absolute value of that difference. And that is less than or equal to 3 times x minus 1 quantity squared. Okay, guys? So, any question, guys? You just ask questions if there are things that you don't understand. Huh? Then, from the definition of absolute value, from one of the properties of absolute value, if I have absolute value of x is less than, for instance, to a number, let's say a, yan, where a of course is what? A is a positive number. So guaranteed that the right side is a positive number. So if I remove the absolute value, it is between what? X is between negative a and a. Kung kasama equality, yan. So all you have to do is to have negative a less than or equal to x less than or equal to a. So in other words, I can write this as negative of 3 x minus 1 quantity squared less than or equal to g of x minus 2, and that is less than or equal to 3 x minus 1 quantity squared. Our x here is g of x minus 2. Kaya ang absolute value nun is what? Is in between the negative of the and the positive of the right side. Okay? So, how are we going to apply the Squeeze Theorem to get the limit of g of x? So first, so let us eliminate negative 2. So meaning we add in its part positive 2, no? So negative 3, then x minus 1, quantity squared plus 2, less than or equal to. So plus 2 here, so just g of x, less than or equal to, plus 2 on the right side, right part, so 3 x minus 1 quantity squared plus 2. Okay? So let's take the limit of the left side. The limit of the left side part, or as x approaches 1, so of negative 3 times x minus 1 quantity squared plus 2. So what's the answer? As x approaches 1, so this approaches negative 3 times 1 minus 1 quantity squared plus 2, and that is equal to 2. Okay, guys? What about the limit of the right part? So limit as x approaches 1 of 3 x minus 1 quantity squared plus 2, so that is equal to 3 times, what's the limit? 1 minus 1 quantity squared plus 2, and also equal to 2. Since the limit of f of x, this is our f of x, as x approaches a is equal to 2, and the limit of our h of x, which is the right part here, limit of this, as x approaches 1 is also 2. So we conclude by Squeeze Theorem, by Squeeze yan, Theorem, so we have limit as x approaches 1 of g of x, because it is in between these two functions, so we conclude that it is also equal to 2. So it is being sandwiched there, no? So it has no choice but to take this number as the limit. Is that clear, guys? Do you have any question, guys, with that? Guys? Guys? No question? Okay. Naku, nagkaroon ng dumi. I don't think it is erased. Okay. Exit ko muna to. Save. Ay, may nag-a-admit pala. Nasa na kaya yun? Okay, I will be sharing that again. Because there are stains. Stains by stains. On the board, on our blackboard. Do you see now? Do you see now the board again, guys? Guys. Don't forget to write your attendance, guys. Check your attendance. You write your section because some of you are from other sections. Perfect nyo yung quiz, ha? By the way, nadedetect ko pag nagkokopyahan, ha? At nagsishare ng sagot. Pag quiz, you're not allowed to ask questions from others. Okay? Yan. You have to do by yourself because God is watching you. Okay, guys? Yan. So we have show that, this is another example, by Squeeze Theorem, that limit, show that limit as x approaches 0 of sine x over x is equal to 1 by Squeeze Theorem. Okay? So, solution. From your algebra, trigo, or pre-calculus when you were in senior high, We know that the value of sine function is between what? Negative 1 and 1. Do you believe, children, that every time I take the sine function value, so it is always less than or equal to 1, but greater than or equal to negative 1? Okay, guys? Children? Oy, children. Oy, guys. Oy, guys. They don't want to answer. Guys. Ayaw sumagot. Hmm. Uh, sorry. Hindi pala. I got a mistake in copying problem. Not this problem. Not this. Sorry. Yan, tuloy. Iba pala to. I'm copying from the book. Not this problem. Ala, nagkadumi na naman. Bakit nagkakamantsa? Yan. So we have may problem itong. What about this? Evaluate. Yan. Limit of as x approaches negative 2, yan, as x approaches negative 2 of g of x minus 3 ay limit of as x approaches negative 2 of g of x, given that the absolute value of g of x minus 3 is less than or equal to 5 x plus 2 quantity squared. Now for all x that is a real number. Okay? So, solution. So, first, we copy the condition g of x minus 3 is less than or equal to 5 times x plus 2, no? Again, this inequality means negative of 5 x plus 2 quantity squared is less than or equal to g of x minus 3, g of x minus 3 less than or equal to 5 x plus 2 and quantity squared. Yan. So again, let's take the limit of the left side as x approaches negative 2 of negative 5 x plus 2 quantity squared. What's the limit? Negative 5 times. See, this is going to be 0. Yan. So, 0. What about the limit of the right side? As x approaches negative 2. May mali ako. Okay? Yan. So, hindi ko pa pala na-manipulate. Hindi ko pa nasosolve yung g of what? G of x. No? Hindi kayo nagsasalita kasi. Siguro nagmimerienda yung iba. So we have Anong i-add natin sa bawat part? 3, no? Negative 5, x plus 2, quantity squared plus 3. Kung plus 3 to, magiging g of x na lang. Kung plus 3 to, we have 5o times x plus 2, quantity squared, plus 3, no? We can now take the limit of the left side as x approaches negative 2 of negative 5, x plus 2, quantity squared, and that is negative 5, and this is going to be what? Going to be 0, no? Itong first term, negative 5 times 0, quantity squared. Kasi negative 2 plus 2 plus 3. What is that equal to? 3. What about limit of the right extreme of the inequality? X approaches negative 2, 5 times x plus 2, quantity squared plus 3. But this is positive 5. What's the limit of x plus 2 quantity squared? 0 as x approaches negative 2. Then plus 3. And that is going to be 3 also, no? So, since the limit of f of x, the extreme left, and the limit of the extreme right, as x approaches negative 2, both equal to 3, therefore we say by Squeeze Theorem that the limit of g of x is equal to what? To 3 also. Ayan, ganyan lang. Ang Squeeze Theorem. Okay, guys? Hi, guys. Question? Guys? Wala? Guys? Meron daw. Let me get a problem from Stewart. And kay Stewart's book. So this is from Stewart's book. Samba. Hanap tayo ng problem. Wala ko makita. Nasa namang page yun. Nawala. Yun lang yun eh. Hindi ko na makita. Wait a minute. Where are you, problem? Malapit na. Malapit na. Wala yata talaga. Dito mo kita. Ito. Okay. This is the last. If 2x minus 1 is less than or equal to f of x, then is less than or equal to x squared for x that is between 0 and 3, for x that is between 0 and 3. Yan. Find limit as x approaches 1 of f of x. Tingnan natin kung we'll get the same, no? So if we can apply L'Hopital's rule. So we have 2x solution. Ako mukhang mape-perfect nyo ang ano. Especially if you thoroughly watch the YouTubes that we have. Yan. Ito diretso na, no? All we have to do is to check if we get the limit of the left part equals the limit of the right part of this inequality, continued inequality. So as x approaches 1, what's the limit of 2x minus 1? as x approaches 1, 2 times 1 minus 1, and that is equal to 1. What's the limit of x squared as x approaches 1? So that is 1 squared equals 1. So again, by Squeeze Theorem, and so we say that what? We say that limit of f of x as x approaches 1 is equal to 1. Okay, guys? Yeah, that's it. So let's now, what happened to the board? Very dirty. So there is a problem with the board. Again, I'm going to, I exit that. May nagsusulat yata sa inyo eh. Dinudumihan niyo yung board. Sana huwag na magdumi. Let's now continue. Finding derivatives. This is not included in the quiz anymore. But Squeeze Theorem is included. More on derivatives. So last time we were talking about, in the previous video that I had, I am expecting that you watched in the video because it is preliminary to this discussion, okay? Because this is just a continuation of that. So more on derivatives now. More on derivatives. So, talking about implicit differentiation. So, more on derivatives. And talking about the following. So, we had already higher order derivatives, and we're going to continue. Give me some more examples. So again, higher order derivatives. Higher order derivatives. And when you say higher order derivatives, we mean what? We mean second derivative, third derivative, fourth derivative, and so on, no? In general, and derivative. Okay, guys? And derivative. Okay? And then, implicit differentiation. We apply implicit differentiation if your dependent variable is not isolated. So meaning, for instance, y and x, no? Y is not expressed in terms of x. So we apply implicit differentiation. If you want to get the derivative of the function in the given implicit relation, then we can apply, or we have to apply implicit differentiation. So again, we apply these two equations of the form f of xy equal to 0. So assuming it defines a function of the form y equals f of x. So we assume that there is a function in this relation that you can express y as a function of x. Hala? Bakit kaya? Ang dami ng blackboard. Ba't nagdudumi? I don't know the problem. Do I have to exit the name it by other file. Let me name it by other file. Save as um, more on derivatives. More. Hopefully, it will not be messy. Okay. More examples, guys. Find the indicated derivative. Did you practice the items I provided in the video? Guys, indicated derivative. Number 1. Ako mukhang nagme-messy na naman. Siguro ayun na naman, no? At least konti lang. Okay lang, napang-dami. Dumadami. Para siya nagkakaroon ng talihawa. Virus. Number 1. Let me get from this is the book of okay. Let's say we're given y is equal to x all over x plus 3. Find the second derivative. Okay, guys? Find the second derivative. So, to get the second derivative first, obtain the first derivative. So, how do we differentiate quotient, guys? Guys, how do we differentiate? Yes? Not seeing?
Di ba po kayo naka-share screen?
Ayan. Sorry. Ayan. X over x plus 3. Okay now? How do we differentiate quotient, guys? The denominator, derivative of the numerator, minus the numerator, derivative of the denominator, all over the square of the denominator. Okay? Simplify. So, getting x plus 3 minus x all over x plus 3 quantity squared. Simplifying this further, we get 3 over x plus 3 and quantity what is squared. So that's y prime. You can get the second derivative directly here, or you can express it in terms of 3x plus 3 quantity to the negative 2. Which do you prefer? Rewriting the given, the first derivative, or treat it as a quotient? Guys, let's do both if you don't want to suggest. So let's say as is. You treat it as a quotient. This is constant over function. So how do we differentiate constant over function? Negative 3, negative c, negative 3, derivative of the denominator over the square of the denominator. Okay, so that is negative 3. So this is power, general power, drop the exponent, copy the base, subtract 1 from the exponent, get the derivative of the base, 1. Okay, and so we now have all over x plus 3 quantity to the 4th. Okay, so from which we can cancel Ano pwede natin cancelin, guys? We can cancel x plus 3, then minus 1 here. So that gives us y, I mean negative 6 over x plus 3 quantity to the third. Okay? That is the second derivative, which is what we want. Or, first, express the first derivative as what? As 3 times x plus 3 raised to negative 2. Ay, negative 4, no? Is it negative 4? Tama? Negative, wala, sorry. Negative 2. Yan. 3 times x plus 3 quantity to the negative 2. We can get the derivative by applying general power multiplied to 3 yung ito, no? Whatever the answer. Negative 2 times 3, negative 6. Copy the base. Subtract 1 from the exponent, negative 3. Get the derivative, the base. And that is equal to negative 6 all over x plus 3. Okay? Quantity cubed. See? We get the same result. Question, guys. Guys. No question? Okay. Number 2, or last one. Y is equal to, let's say, 1 over x. Get the third derivative. Yan. Third derivative. What is the first derivative? Negative 1 over x squared. Why, guys? Constant over function. Negative 1, derivative of the denominator is 1 all over the square of the denominator. Okay, guys? Second derivative. Pwedeng iakyat to the negative 2. Pwede rin namang retain. Negative, negative. So, positive now. Negative 1 times derivative of the denominator, 2x over the square of the denominator, which is 2 over x to the 4. May x sa numerator. So, x over x cubed na lang, no? 2 over x cubed. Okay? What about third derivative? For the third derivative, negative, the negative 2, times derivative of the denominator, 3x squared, and then all over the square of the denominator. So finally, we have negative 6 over x to the 4. That's it. So that's the third derivative. Okay, guys? Question, guys? Wala. So, implicit differentiation na tayo. Dumudumi ang board. Yan. Implicit, di bale, pag sinare naman ito, wala. Kaya lang sa video na andun. Okay? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng implicit differentiation, children? Yan. Implicit differentiation. Let's say you wish to find the derivative of a function, but the function, unfortunately, is not written dependent variable as a function of independent. So, we can still get the derivative of the function there, no? By applying what we call implicit differentiation. So, how do we apply this? So, let's see. Okay. Given a function, given a relation, because this does not define a function generally, no? If you have an equation of this form, given a relation of the form f of xy equal to 0, assume that there is a function of the form, there is a function y equals f of x that we can find that can be obtained from where? From f of xy equal to 0. So that is our assumption. So to get the derivative, the derivative of y with respect to x from f of xy equal to 0, apply what? Apply implicit differentiation. Differentiation. But you have to take note of the following. If you are differentiating with respect to x of, let's say, y to the n for any real number n y to the n minus 1, then y prime, okay? Or n y to the n minus 1 times the derivative of y with respect to x. Kahit alin gusto niyo, y prime or derivative of with respect to x. That is, every time you differentiate y to the n, so this is how you do it. Okay? Where n is any real number. Okay? So we now have derivative with respect to x of x to the n. So notice that the independent variable in the base, the base is the independent variable of what? Of the function y equals f of x. So if you get the derivative of this, drop the exponent, copy the base, subtract 1 from the exponent, and that's it. No need to multiply by derivative ng x with respect to x because this is simply 1. So unlike if you are differentiating y to the n relative to x, you have to multiply every time you differentiate that. And so you have to multiply by the derivative of y with respect to x, the ny to the n minus 1. Unlike here, no need. Okay? Let's apply. So number 1. So let's say we're given, so find an instruction, find y prime or derivative ng y with respect to x. Number 1. So given y equals, let's say, 4x minus 3y cubed. Okay? So what is y prime? So first, let us get the derivative of the left. Derivative ng y with respect to x. O derivative ng kanan, 4x minus 3y cubed. Okay? If I put everything on the left side, so it is of the formula f of xy equal to 0. But you can get directly the derivative of the left and the right. So this is already y prime, or as is, derivative of y with respect to x. And the derivative of difference, derivative of the first term, 4, because that is relative to x. This is relative to x, but you are differentiating y variable, no? So minus 3 times 3, 9, y squared. But you have to multiply by y prime. Okay? So this contains y prime. On the left side, containing y prime also. So when we transpose this negative 9y squared on the left side, we get y prime plus 9y squared y prime equals 4. So solving for y prime, so we have to isolate it first, no? 1 plus 9y squared, then multiplied by y prime equals 4. Finally, y prime is equal to What is y prime? Guys? And that is equal to 4 all over 1 plus 9 y squared. That's it. Okay? So notice that the answer is in terms of y. Because it's not easy to express y in terms of x. So we leave it as is. As long as one on the right side, isolated na yung derivative. Ay! What a messy board. Baka if you change board, it will become not that messy. Why so messy? Eh? I don't know why messy. Okay, number 3. Let's have number 2, I mean. Number 2. And so messy. Hindi yan nabubura eh. Hindi natin kung nabubura. Hindi nabubura. See? Para siyang may... Pero wala naman yun actually pag sinave na yung file. Kaya lang naka-video kasi ito. Number 2. Do you have questions, guys? Guys? Huh? May question ba, guys? Boys?
Wala po, sir.
Wala, baka naman kumakain na kayo, ha? Ha? 207. Baka mamaya, iniisa nyo na kami. Nauna kayo, makain na. Okay, number 2. So let's say we're given x cubed plus y cubed equals 1. So find dy over dx or derivative of y with respect to x or y prime. Now, differentiate the left side. What's the derivative of the first term? 3x squared. Second term, 3y squared. Y prime equals derivative ng 1, 0. Notice that I multiply 3y squared by y prime because y is dependent. Unlike x cubed, x is not dependent, it's independent. So, we differentiate it normally, no? Unlike this one, 3y, y squared, then y prime. Every time you differentiate, dependent, you multiply by its derivative. So, solving for y prime, we get negative 3 x squared over over what? Guys, over 3y squared na? Transpose, then divide. You can cancel this 3, so getting negative x squared over y squared. Okay guys? That's it. So that's the derivative. Hanggang ano lang tayo, 7:30. Para maka-review kayo. Kasi ipopost ko ngayong gabi yung exam nyo, yung quiz, para mapagandaan nyo na. Huwag magkopyahan, ha? At pwede bang pag nagsulat kayo ng enter kayo ng letter, pag enter nyo ng letter A, huwag nyo lalagyan ng dot, ha? Letter lang. Yung iba nilalagyan ng dot, kaya na-identify ng computer na sagot nyo A dot. Letter only, ha? Do not put space. Pagka enter nyo, yun agad. Enter A. Huwag yung space enter, patas A. Okay? Enter A agad. A, then ano na, yun na. Then enter. Okay, guys? Kasi yung iba, nilalagyan ng dot pa. Okay. So we have number 3. Let's say I have x cubed plus x squared y plus 4y squared equals 6. Okay, what about this? Differentiate the left side. First term muna. Anong derivative ng x cubed, guys? 3x squared. Product to, x squared y. The first. Anong derivative ng y? Dy prime. Plus the second, yung y. Derivative ng x squared, 2x. Yan. Daming dumi. Plus, this is 4y squared. 8y, then y prime. Kasi, dependent yung y. 2 times 4, 8, then y. Subtract 1 from the exponent, y, 1 na lang. So, y na lang. Times y prime. Equals, derivative ng 6, 0. Okay, guys? Collect those with y prime. X squared. Tsaka ano pa? 8y. Wala na. Factor out the y prime. Equals, without y prime, negative 3x squared. When transpose, negative 2xy. So, divide by x squared plus 8y, negative 3x squared minus 2xy all over x squared plus 8y. Meron bang makakancel? Wala naman. Express lang natin yung sagot natin in a nice form or better form. Pero actually, better na rin naman yan. Kaya lang yung naka-factored form. Factor out negative. So, we have in the numerator, factor out x. So, we got 3x plus 2y all over x squared plus 8y. Okay, guys? That's the answer. Any question, children? Children? Sino na dyan? Francis?
Sila iba.
What about this, guys? Square root of x plus y. Last na to. Para makapahinga na kayo. Makapag-review na kayo. Review niyo yung mga YouTube videos natin, ha? Plus, I will be uploading mga siguro mga 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Naka-upload na sa Google Classroom niya, tsaka FB group. You have to download the Excel, not the Google Sheets, ha? Yan, okay? Differentiate the left side. The left side is a radical. How do we differentiate radical? Derivative of the radical, yung loob. Derivative ng x1. Derivative ng y prime. All over 2. All over 2 is square root of yan, x plus y. That is how to differentiate special case ng pag-square root. Yan. Equals derivative ng 1, 0. Derivative ng product, the first. Derivative of the second, 2y, y prime. Plus the second, y squared. The second derivative of the first, 2x. Kaya lang, wala ng x prime, ha? Kasi dependent ang x. So this is 2x squared, y prime, plus 2x, y squared. And that is 1 plus y prime over 2 square root of x plus y. Okay? Guys? So, we now multiply by this denominator, no? So, 1 plus y prime is equal to 2x squared y square root of x plus y. Magiging 4 na to. Yan, 2 times 2, 4. Y prime plus 2x y squared times 2 ulit. So, 4 times the radical x plus y. Okay? So, ito may radical, ito may radical. So, y prime, magiging what? 1 minus this part or x squared y times the radical. Pinactor out ko yung y prime. Ito naman, walang y prime, walang y prime. Pagsamahin ang mga walang y prime. Then, minus 1. So, therefore, what is y prime? Yan. So, hanggang ano na tayo? Hanggang bago mag-end ng January, puro differentiation. Yan. Kaya I will be sharing to you another video sa ibang klase naman, mga transcendental functions na. Minus 1 all over 1 minus 4 x squared y square root of x plus 1. Hindi yan parehas ha, kasi x squared yung ilalim dito, y squared yan. Hindi pwedeng cancel kahit i-factor out yung negative. Okay guys? Guys, may question pa? Guys? Guys? Okay now? Sige. So that's it for today. So, because you have to focus something to other topics that are included in your quiz. So, I will just be sharing to you the video that I'm going to have for other section about transcendental functions. Okay? So, again guys, next meeting, but not included in the test na to rin ha, transcendental functions na tayo. Kaya review, mga trigonometric, transcendental functions. Logarithmic, exponential, inverse trigonometric, transcendental functions. Okay? Okay guys. Okay. So don't forget to have your attention.